Let's make an eyeball bag charm for Halloween. So I've had these white and gold crackle beads for years, and when you turn them to the side, they kind of look like eyeballs. I'm starting by cutting pieces of wire that are at least 2 inches. So because the bead hole is the part that looks like the eyeball, I can't just string these beads onto something. And I'm going to wrap wire around the bead and then create a loop at the top. If you're following along, use your round nose pliers to create a loop with your wire, and then wrap the wire around a few times below the loop you just made. Cut the excess wire with wire cutters, and now it's time to start wrapping the bead. This part can be a little tricky, and if it's easier for you, you can just wrap the wire through the bead hole instead of around the bead. After you've wrapped the wire around the bead, go back over the wire you wrapped earlier. Cut the excess wire with wire cutters. Now add some glue so the loop stays on the bead. Here's what it should look like. Now you're going to repeat these steps 6 more times so you have a total of 7 eyeballs. This part can be very meticulous. I probably wouldn't consider this one a beginner-friendly tutorial, but I promise it gets easier as the video goes on. If you don't think you can make all 7 eyeballs, that's completely fine. I think if you make at least 3, that would still work for the bag charm. Next, cut your bead stringing wire. Add a crimp bead and then either a jump ring or a split ring. String the wire back through the crimp bead and then slide the crimp bead towards the jump ring or the split ring. Make sure there's still some wiggle room. With the crimping tool, you're going to use the kidney-shaped notch first and then the oval-shaped notch second. It'll look like a bow after the first notch. Before you press down on the second notch, the crimp bead should already be flat and standing upright. Next, add a crimp cover around the crimp bead. Now string the beads onto the wire. After you've strung an inch or so worth of beads, make sure to string the extra wire back through the beads. This next part could have been done before stringing the beads, but add jump rings to the loops on the eyeballs. I used 4mm jump rings because the beads I'm using are 4mm, and I didn't want the eyeballs to move around on the bag charm. Also, if you'd rather use split rings instead of jump rings, you can do that. So I ended up making a bag charm that had around 8 inches worth of beads and 7 total eyeball charms. I had about 8 4mm beads between each eyeball charm, which was about an inch worth of beads. Once you finish stringing the beads onto the wire, add a crimp bead and then either a jump ring or a split ring. Just like how you did before, string the wire back through the crimp bead and then through an inch or 2 worth of beads. Pull on the wire to tighten the bag charm strand, but make sure it's not too tight and that there's still wiggle room so you can use the crimping tool. Don't forget to do the kidney-shaped notch first before the oval-shaped notch. Cut any extra wire and then add a crimp cover. Now you're going to need 2 hinged closures. Next, add one to each jump ring on the end. And then here's the finished eyeball-inspired bag charm for Halloween. Thanks so much for watching if you made it this far in the video.